It has been 1 year since I acquired this Boden Essential 6 from Strandberg in Elemental Blue, and I thought it's time to give you guys an update, a long-term review of this model. We're going to talk about what I love about the model, what's held up, what hasn't, why this is my go-to guitar for practice, and what components and hardware do I want to mod or replace. If you're looking for specs, tone demos, stuff like that, I highly recommend you check my original review that I did up here, or you could check it in the description below. Then come back to this video to get your 1 year long-term review. As I mentioned in the intro, I did do a video on this about a year ago. It's sitting over 20,000 views. I've had lots of really good feedback on that video, and I had at least 10 people personally reach out to me to let me know they purchased this guitar after watching my video. And I don't have an affiliate link set up with Strandberg.
Yeah, bummer.
But I wanted to give you guys a 1 year update to kind of let you know how I've been using this guitar. I've recorded with it, I've gigged with it, I have put this thing through the paces, and I have a lot of feedback, and I have a handful of things I would probably change. Let's talk about what really perked my interest when this guitar was released a year ago. This was at the time the only Strandberg Boden model that had standard 25.5-inch scale. All of the other ones in the shop had multi-scale, and I don't mind multi-scale. I have a multi-scale 7-string, but when it comes to a 6-string, unless you're doing some really dropped tunings, it's not really necessary. So I was pretty excited to see there was standard scale and there was no 0 fret on this. So if you're a classic vintage guitar enthusiast, or if you just like the standard feel of like a Les Paul or something like that, this neck is going to feel right at home, at least the fretboard is. And when you flip this thing around, it does have that patented Endure neck. It took a little getting used to, but after I did get used to it, this guitar became my go-to for several reasons. The main highlight of this guitar is ergonomics. This is so light. This guitar is like under 6 pounds, so easy to pick up. It's compact. The case is pretty small. You can travel with it. What I use this for the most is practicing. If I want to pull this guitar out and use like the lava amp here with headphones or just jam on the couch while I'm watching my kids, I pick up the Strandberg Boden Essential 6. And the reason why is because it is very lightweight and easy to play. Not only that, there is 0 neck dive. If you look right here, the guitar is not going to go anywhere. It's such an ergonomic, comfortable playing position. As you can see, I'm sitting straight up. I'm not hunched over. I can easily play the guitar. It's really easy to record this guitar if you're engineering your own session like I do for 90% of my sessions, because your hands are free to use the keyboard. You can stop, record, so you're ready to punch in at a moment's notice. This guitar actually has really good acoustics when you're unplugged. Even for bending notes. You can hear it just fine if you're in a quiet room. So the highest remarks I'm going to give this model, and for those watching, is definitely going to be ergonomics, comfort, and weight. So given the choice to pick up my Les Paul or SG or Fender Strat or the Boden Essential 6 to noodle around and get my fingers moving, I'm going to grab this guitar every time. Now let's talk about the next point here, and it's kind of not necessarily a dig at Strandberg. The industry is shifting now with guitars, and a lot of people are charging big bucks for import models. This guitar is designed in Sweden, but it's manufactured in Indonesia. I think they do the quality checks in California, but this guitar was manufactured overseas, and it is around $1,000. I've always been the type of guy to not want to spend over $1,000 on an import guitar when you have brands like Kiesel where you could spend $1,400 to get a USA made guitar with similar specs. And even on the used market, you can get a Kiesel, sometimes like even $900 for a really cool spec'd out Kiesel. And again, that's made in the USA, it's not imported. But I don't want to be biased because a majority of Strandberg guitars are manufactured overseas, not just the Essential model. Even some of their models that are, pushing the $2,500 price point are made overseas. But they're one of the only brands you can get this body shape, this weight, the Endure neck since they have this thing patented. So it is what it is unless you want to fork out $6,000 to get one of their USA made models. So talking on price, do I think this guitar is worth $1,000? I think this guitar would be better priced around $850. That's how much you could probably get it for used. And the reason I say that is because it's not using name brand anything. It's not using a Hipshot bridge. It's using Strandberg proprietary pickups. Even the wiring, the 5-way switch, it seems pretty generic. From like a manufacturing parts perspective and what you get, I don't think you're getting ripped off paying $1,000, but I do think that this could be priced a little more conservatively. So we talked about what I like, the price point, the ergonomics, the weight, all that stuff. Now let's talk about what could be better. I just briefly touched on the pickups. The pickups are okay, but you know what? They're kind of run-of-the-mill generic pickups. They didn't really do it for me. I would much rather see something like a name brand pickup on here. A majority of their other models feature like Fishman Fluence Moderns. I'm not saying these pickups are garbage, but long-term, I'm definitely going to swap these out. Now let's talk about some other things I wasn't the hugest fan of. So let's talk about these tuners here. Now these tuners, they do the job. The barrel tuners at the bottom here, you can get your fine pitch tuning on there, but they just feel really cheap. They kind of feel like plastic. I know they're not plastic. I think they're aluminum, but they just feel really, really cheap. So to compare it to something else in my studio, I don't have a whole lot of headless guitars in my studio, but I do have this Donner Hush X Pro, but I want to point out their tuners at the bottom. They have barrel tuners, just like the Strandberg. This guitar is in standard 25.5-inch scale, just like the Strandberg, but these tuners have a lot more to grip onto. They don't feel like plastic. They're a little bit heavier, I'll give them that, so maybe Strandberg is trying to reduce weight. But these feel like they're gonna hold up over the long term. But again, it hasn't failed me yet, it hasn't broke, it just feels kind of cheap. It's just something to take note of. I will say though, it is quite an attractive bridge. It looks really cool on camera. The design of it is awesome. Like I mentioned, I think they were trying to cut down the weight, that's why they used what they did on the guitar. Now there's one more thing on this guitar that a lot of people may not really be thinking about, and that's the radius. If you don't know what radius is, it's the curve of the fretboard. If you were to look at your guitar this way, it's the curve from left to right. Now vintage guitars are gonna have a little more of a curve. Modern guitars are gonna be more flat. Multi-scale guitars are super flat. Now I believe this has a 20-inch scale. I've never played this radius before with 6 strings though, and it took me by surprise because it's pretty hard to do bends higher up on the neck. It feels like the string's gonna rip away from my finger. It's not super easy to do high bends and give the vibrato like I normally would on like a vintage style guitar. You kind of have to work at it. So something to be mindful of if you've never played a 20-inch radius before, it is cool and it's super fast if you're not doing big bends. Great for rhythm, great for like chugs, heavy music, stuff like that. But if you're looking for something that has more of a Fender, kind of Gibson feel, this is way, way, way more modern than that. And you're gonna have to work on your bends a little bit, probably lighten up your string gauge too. Now, the last thing I wish they offered was a trem system on the Boden Essential. So Strandberg definitely would be worth, an extra $200 to add on an option for trem. It would be really cool. I've never actually seen a Strandberg without the multi-scale trem, so I guess it would be the first time they would, have a standard trem on here. I love 80s dive bombs. I love doing, kind of 50s, kind of chimey vibrato on chords using trem, but there is no option currently for this. It's hardtail only. So Strandberg, if you guys can, that would be rad to put a trem system on here. I've used this thing a lot, and you can see here, some parts of the paint will show marks because it is a matte finish, but it's held up pretty well over time. I've dropped it a few times. I've dinged other guitars against it when I'm like putting guitars away with the trem or volume knob and stuff like that. There's a spot right here. I don't know if you can see it very well, but right there, I dinged it pretty hard and the paint didn't chip off. You could still see the blue. So there's a few layers on here. It's gonna get that natural patina as you play it. So if you're the type of guy who loves that matte kind of break-in finish, this is a great choice too. I think all of the guitars come in matte right now. The rosewood too, I've conditioned this maybe twice. Still looks pretty good. I love the look of the grain on it. I love the lumen lay side dots on here and on the fretboard. The markers are also lumen lay on the front. Very great modern touch. So in short, after 1 year with the Boden Essential 6 in Elemental Blue, I'd say it's been very good. It absolutely delivers on comfort, ergonomic design, low fatigue, and it's really fun to play. For what I use it for, sessions, practice, and travel, it is one hell of a workhorse of a guitar if that's what you're in the market for. Now, if you're thinking about picking up one, I highly recommend it. You can check it out with the link below. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, leave a comment below. What's your feedback on the Boden? Do you have the Essential? Have you used it for a year like me? What do you think?
Thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe and keep on playing.